When you think of extinct animals, one bird usually comes to mind, the dodo. It's become a symbol of extinction itself, often portrayed as clumsy, dumb, and doomed to die out. But here's the thing, the dodo wasn't stupid, and it didn't deserve extinction. Its story is much more about humans, islands, and unintended consequences. The dodo was a large flightless bird that lived on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. It stood about a metre tall, around 3 feet, and weighed something like 10 to 18 kilograms or 20 to 40 pounds, depending on the season and the food supply. It had a big hooked beak, stubby wings and soft grey feathers, but it wasn't some evolutionary mistake. In fact, it was a perfectly adapted island bird. Dodos actually evolved from pigeons that colonised Mauritius millions of years ago. With no land predators around, flight wasn't really necessary. Instead, the dodo invested its energy in getting bigger, walking around on the ground, and eating fruit, seeds, and possibly even small land animals. In short, in its natural environment, the dodo was doing just fine. Now, the dodo's problems began in the late 1500s, when Portuguese and later Dutch sailors landed on Mauritius. To those sailors, the dodo was an odd flightless bird that couldn't run away. That made it an easy source of fresh meat for hungry crews. Reports vary about how tasty dodo meat actually was. Some say it was tough and unpleasant, others say it was edible enough when stewed. Either way, sailors killed them in large numbers. But direct hunting wasn't the biggest problem. The real damage came from what the humans brought with them: invasive species. Now, sailors released goats, pigs, dogs, cats, and even rats onto Mauritius, either deliberately to provide future ships with fresh food or maybe accidentally. Those animals devastated the ecosystem. Rats and pigs raided dodo nests, eating the eggs. Now, since dodos laid only one egg at a time, even a small increase in nest predation had a massive impact. Meanwhile, goats and pigs tore up the island's vegetation, destroying food sources that dodos and other native animals depended on. So while humans were hunting some dodos directly, their real contribution to extinction was involving a whole new set of predators and competitors the birds had never evolved to deal with. The Dutch officially colonised Mauritius in 1638. Less than 70 years later, the dodo was gone. The last widely accepted sighting was in 1662 by a Dutch mariner named Volker Evertsch. He described seeing birds bigger than geese, with downy feathers and a beak like a falcon. By the end of that century, the dodo was extinct, wiped out in under 100 years of having contact with humans. Now, because the bird went extinct so quickly, it became a symbol of stupidity. Like, it just didn't know how to survive. But that's not true at all. The dodo wasn't dumb. It was specialised. It had evolved for millions of years in a safe, predator-free environment. No animal is prepared for sailors suddenly bringing dogs, pigs and rats to their island. In fact, in its own ecosystem, the dodo was thriving. It was humans who changed the rules of the game overnight. Now, today, it's remembered mostly through written accounts, a few drawings and scattered bones, but the legacy of the dodo lives on in conservation biology. Its story was one of the first to show scientists how quickly humans can push a species to extinction, and how fragile island ecosystems can be. Because of the dodo, we now recognise that isolated species are especially vulnerable to human activity and introduced predators. That knowledge has shaped conservation efforts for other endangered birds, like the kiwi in New Zealand and the kakapo, a critically endangered parrot. So the dodo didn't vanish because it was slow or stupid. It vanished because of humans, and the animals they brought with them, that wrecked the environment it depended on. Its extinction is very tragic, but it taught us one of the most important lessons in ecology: that no species, no matter how well adapted, can withstand rapid human disruption. And that's why centuries later, we still say, as dead as a dodo. This has been History of the World. If you've learned something new, click subscribe.